right. I'm going to say my fun little intro.
I'm gonna pretend to be saying it.
So wait, you're gonna pretend to be saying it. Do you know my intro, AJ?
I watch all the Cat and Book Our Life videos, obviously.
I'm honored.
I have it memorized.
Ooh. Salvete and Salutations, everybody. I am CBL, and today we have some very, very special guests. I don't think AJ and Gwen need an introduction, but Lance, if you want to do a beautiful introduction on who you are.
Hi, I am SCP-11325. You probably know me as Lance. I am the co-admin of the Random Encounters Wiki.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay, so Lance and I will be alternating asking you guys questions. We have a lineup of 28 questions for you guys, which is a miracle because I got 60 responses on my Google form.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So you managed to pare it down a little.
I'm sending them. Yes, and the 60 responses, not including Lance and I's questions.
We had a lot.
I'll do it.
Yeah. So, I'll actually be sending questions we don't get to two other people who are interested in interviewing you guys. So you might get some of my questions over on theirs as well.
Well, that's really generous of you.
So we're gonna. Huh?
That's really generous of you.
Absolutely.
So just
we're going to ask you one.
Just to make sure I understand, this is a spoiler zone, right? We're saying the
Yeah,
Full
dances
spoiler
and
spoiler
everything?
zone.
Okay.
Oh
yeah.
Full spoiler zone, honey. So we're gonna ask you guys one fun random question to get into the groove, and then I will get into fun stuff.
Okay. Hey, thank you for doing this today. This is gonna be really cool.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this, because I've been so busy and you guys have been so patient with me rescheduling on you guys and all the things, and recording for me as well. You guys have been so awesome.
You're more than welcome.
Lance, if you want to take it away with your fun general question.
Yeah. So I did a documentary film class, and they always were like, start with a fun question when you're doing an interview with somebody. So I want to know, what's your go-to sandwich order?
Oh, this is fun because neither of us eat sandwiches.
Is a burger a sandwich?
A burger should count as a sandwich.
I'll consider it a
burger is a sandwich.
Okay. So a plain bacon cheeseburger. Let's make it a double bacon cheeseburger. But don't put anything on it. Just meat, cheese, and bun. I have to tell people that.
Oh, my dad's the same way.
Bacon is a meat too, but if you don't say it, they'll take it off.
They will. It's insane.
I am watching our cat. There he goes. There he goes. Just watching him play with the wires. So I apologize if we're disconnected impromptu.
Fine.
Yeah, I feel like my burger order is pretty much the same, other than I add pickles.
Pickles are great.
Mm-hmm.
My mother once asked for a burger with just meat and cheese, and then she proceeded to get no bun, and it was just the meat and cheese.
I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah, people don't know.
Oh my God, is it raining? No. Sorry if my background gets a little weird. I think it's raining.
Will that mess
So
with your
I'm
sound
gonna start us off. I don't think it should, because my microphone is like a podcasting mic, and it's very prepared for all the fun backgrounds.
Sure. I don't hear anything, so.
Maybe. All right, so starting off, how much of the lore was decided beforehand, and how much was created as the prequel series went on, particularly within the time between Ground Zero, Web of Lies, and First Nights at Freddy's? Like the stuff with the shift to MatPat's character and the development of Glitchtrap's motivation.
I would say there was almost nothing settled. How far back do you want to go? Do you want to go all the way to Ground Zero background, or after Web of Lies but before Dark Remains stuff started getting written? How far back?
Whatever you think is fitting, because if you have something fun from Ground Zero, you can add that in, but whatever you want to share.
Ground Zero, there was literally no plan. It was just that people were already missing the FNAF musical. It only been gone for a year, and people were already starting to be like, are you going to do more? So there was no plan for any sort of lore at that point, really. And then with Web of Lies, I think we built up a little bit. Obviously, it ends with a cliffhanger. So while making that, we said, we're going to do at least one more after this, and there will be a little bit of lore, and we're going to use Glitchtrap as a bad guy this time. and just a little cameo from Matt Pat. It wasn't supposed to be anything big. And then I think the furthest the lore got for there was I think it committed that they go in the box. They're going to come out at Circus Baby Party Works, which at the time we were just going to keep it Circus Baby Rentals or whatever. And probably in one video, they would meet Baby and then go back home and everybody would be okay. I think that's about the extent of the lore.
I don't even think it was particularly supposed to be a long video. Like, it wasn't supposed to be like, oh, here's a half-hour conclusion like Dark Remains ended up being. It was supposed to be just like, oh, here's another, like, fun 7 minutes, like one song, Baby's probably in and out in like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think realizing how much that was like asking of a 7-minute video is where we started going, there might be one conclusion video so that you get one episode of them escaping Circus Babies and getting back. And then what we kept calling the Battle for Fazbear's episode that, you know, would truly be like, okay, since we can't do it all in one, we'll do a Battle for Fazbear's episode where they save the day and it's over. But yeah, the lore was super thin. There was not more to it than that when we started Web of Lies. It was just get them out of there, get them back, and the day is saved.
And then everything changed.
And then the pandemic.
Yes, the pandemic is.
And then the Fire Nation attacked.
I do really feel like the two big things were the pandemic, which gave us just a ton of time to sit around and go, what if we did it this way? What if we did it that way? And then meeting Ash Rose, who had that incredible Vanny costume. And then it was like, oh, we could do a whole thing adding Vanny in here, have like murder rabbits, multiple of them. It'll be great. And so I think those were the two big jumps.
Yeah.
All right, next question. So this is going to combine a lot of questions that we got of kind of the same general thought process. So we got a lot of questions about the things that between the end of First Nights and the start of the OG series that didn't directly line up, like the puppet in Springtrap. Nate had a line in Night 3 about a bear eating a face. Phone Guy has a bloody suit at the end of the original. Do you have any ideas about what happens during this 7-year plus gap between Nate being hired and then Nate coming back in the original series?
Well, Bear definitely starts eating a face.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, I think we wanted to tie up very specific things, which is what we ended up doing. Certain characters we were like, they don't show up again, so we need to give them an ending, things like that. But a lot of it, we were like, you guys are going to come up with something more fun than we do about what happens in those whole 7 years. Obviously, we think that Nate has a little bit of a career at Freddy's and sees some things he'd rather not see. I would say he probably, gets the animatronics into their new home and gets them settled. I'm not even really... Springtrap and the puppet, I think, they're the most, like, use your imagination. What adventure do you think they went on? Because for me, at least, it's they get into the vents and Puppet's, like, wrangling him and gets him out of the building as fast as he can and is just being what the puppet is in our version, which is a badass.
Love that.
Yes. I definitely believe they're out of the building, obviously, because they survived the explosion.
You know that scene in The Fellowship of the Ring where Gandalf is all, "You shall not pass," and then he falls down with a Balrog, and like in the next movie you like start and you see them fighting, is like falling like infinitely, and then they have a weird battle. That is exactly how I described it when we were talking about this, back on set. Was being like, they go in the vent, and I can only imagine that the puppet and Springtrap are like falling through like infinite time and space, fighting each other, and then they end up on a weird like rock somewhere, doing a final battle, and somehow it ends up okay for both of them.
Somehow.
That's
not how it goes for the Balrog.
I feel uncultured because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really? Oh, well,
you can go find the scene on YouTube.
This movie did come out in 2001. It's a little old, so...
Didn't win an Academy Award, so do we really care?
My bad, guys.
there
figured out
other?
what's happening outside. It's like sleet and snow.
Oh, it's the
Oh.
good stuff.
Oh,
You're getting the
Yeah.
goodies.
happy
from the evidence.
January.
I was trying to think if there were other
Yeah.
characters that we were supposed to be.
Connecting through. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like the one that got brought up was the bear eating a face, which
Yeah.
in my head canon that
Yeah.
is just Freddy has a bad day and he gets confused.
He gets
Um,
confused
Just like me
easily.
for real.
I get it. I work retail, you know. I deal with people.
Eventually, you
Work
have
with
to
kids.
eat a
Oh.
face. Yeah. Obviously, I think it's safe to say Phone Guy does not stop his murderous
no.
spree.
Oh
so,
yes, the suit covered in suspicious stains.
Yeah. I mean, somebody he writes "It's me" on it, or somebody else writes it on it. I don't know. I'm not sure which.
Yeah,
But I think
confusing message.
he enjoys his line of business,
I think so.
and he's really relishing it over his next 7 years or so.
Takes full advantage of no longer having fingerprints. Has
right.
a great time.
Yeah, he's using a paintbrush to do it now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right. For our next question, Lance, are we doing the ones in bold first on our list? What's happening here?
Oh, so we have some like bolded that we want to hit, and then some other ones that if we have time. Use your best judgment.
Okay, well, I just want to ask this question. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so was Lizzie always planned to die, or were there versions of the ending where she lived? And what was the narrative perspective like? From a narrative perspective, what were your thoughts around killing Elizabeth?
I hear that you are an Elizabeth sympathizer, and that you may or may not have a theory that Elizabeth does not, in fact, die.
Okay, that is an alternate universe. There is a difference.
Okay. A good old AU.
We'll get to the
It's an
theory
AU.
about it later.
The closest thing, I'm sorry for our cat. He wants to be in the interview as well.
You're fine.
He's
Hello,
very
Mr.
needy
Moon.
today. So Gwen can go into detail about a possibility of Elizabeth surviving. But I will say, pretty much always it was assumed Elizabeth was going to die at the end. I don't think we gave her an out in pretty much any draft or any talk even about what the script was going to be. Partly because in the games there's no out for her.
Yeah.
It's like that's what's going to happen. And the only really question that we had was whether or not we're going to follow the game and let Baby kill her, or whether we are going to flip the script on that. And obviously that's kind of what we did, is flip the script.
Yeah. I think also like that was one of the threads into the original FNAF musical that we were like, she doesn't appear, and we see her do all these things with the animatronics and with BB, and it wouldn't make sense for her not to be someone they would think of calling in if they have another problem at the restaurant, if she's still around.
Once we settled on her kind of adopting them at the end,
Yes.
that felt like the feel good, obvious, this is what should happen. And therefore, it doesn't really make sense that she could still be there and the followings. So either she couldn't be associated with them anymore in order for them to part ways at the end, or we had to kill her.
So what AJ was referencing with the the possibility of Lizzie still
excited to
being
talk about
alive.
this.
I know this is one of those things. We actually got down to considering filming an extra scene that would include this idea,
Like a mid-credit scene or a post-credit scene.
Yeah. And we're like, we just don't have the time. We don't have the resources. We just can't add this in.
And I was saying, I just don't want to commit to it. I
That
think Gwen
too.
would have committed to it.
I would have, 100%.
I still feel like this is better as a extra canonical and not committed to screen. It definitely happened. I described it as, it's definitely a possibility that it did happen. It's possible it did not happen.
Okay, so if I had been in charge, the mid-credits scene would have shown Circus Baby escaping from the destroyed building, kind of all shredded up and torn apart, kind of Scrap Baby style, and wandering out and meeting someone, and when just a random person, and when she turns around to talk to them, Katie's voice comes out my mouth. Because
It's like, it's me or something.
yeah, because
My God.
Lizzie would end up inside Circus Baby. I think it
I'm
is
not
like
okay.
I think that would be perfect. I think it's a fun way to loop back into the FNAF vibe and be like, of course this was what's going to happen. Of course the soul goes into Circus Baby. It's like, she can't be fixed. She can't be the animatronic anymore, but she can be haunted. But we didn't film it, so it's not canon. It's just me.
It's me. Is that what you said? Yeah, but we did consider getting a camera and going out and trying to pick that up. And we were like, logistically that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And what's more, I'm still a little of the opinion I'd rather people believe that without seeing it, I think.
Yeah.
So. Or believe she died horrifically in a terrible explosion.
It was a really big explosion.
I want Glitchtrap to get his due as well. He really hung in there.
Yeah,
he kind of earned it.
When I tell you I was crying. I was legit crying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I can't blame you though. That is the scene, like filming Circus Baby's death scene is when AJ started crying behind camera.
Yeah.
I cried the first time I saw it in edit. I was like tearing up a little bit again during the live stream because a lot of things. And it was a really intense scene to film in general. I remember me and Katie like we started out like kind of laughing and joking with each other because literally the stuff dripping out of Circus Baby's face is chocolate syrup, and there is nothing like watching somebody walk back on
Going
set.
back to Psycho.
It smelled so good.
So good. Just covered in chocolate syrup, and we're just laughing and then going into like, okay, beat me to death, please. Like it was such an intense scene.
It was a beautiful scene. Every time people talk about it, I always bring up like cinematography wise, that whole sequence was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We loved getting a chance to do that.
That was yeah. We were waiting for that, and we didn't want to like short sell it. So.
Well, speaking of characters and somber endings, I'm gonna ask this one because this was what I was holding out for the entire time. Does Alexandra ever get any closure, or is she just stuck in a mental hospital for the rest of her life? Because my sweet girl.
I know.
Do you have a storyline you'd like to pitch, and I'll tell you how possible that sounds to me?
Ooh.
My storyline that I always pitched before this came out was that Alexandra was going to be broken out by Lizzie, but we see how that. I mean, it could still happen. We could have Circus Baby Lizzie break her out, but
that'd be really cool. I would definitely watch that.
Yes. I feel like in my head, it's partly because I just saw my first Terminator movie within the last year or so, and one of the Terminator movies has someone like breaking out of a mental asylum, and I always imagined Alexandra doing that, where she kind of like fakes being better enough to get enough trust to break herself out.
To then take like hostages and like smash through doors and stuff.
You know?
That'd be really cool. I bet you Anna would come back and do it.
Oh, she would. In a heartbeat.
Yo, okay, so I don't quite want to commit this to the record, but I'm going to say it in your interview so it's as close to committed as possible. It's got to happen now, basically, is what I'm saying. If we ever get access to like a mental hospital, like an abandoned like asylum or something, I'm going to be really tempted to contact Anna and say, would you like to do something where Eggs continues the story somehow?
Oh,
it's going to be very hard to say no to if it ever comes up.
Absolutely.
Because that would be really cool.
Just want to see her like pull a Circus Baby and start beating up all of these like diners on her way out.
Oh my gosh,
I would pay to get beaten up by Anna. Anyways.
Wouldn't we all though?
No, can I beat up people with her instead?
All right, you either pay to help or you pay to be beaten up.
All right.
Okay. I'm skipping to a question that I really want to ask, so sue me. So, because I'm way too curious about this, and then this is like only I know this. But so when I was recording, I had a line saying that all hazards had been neutralized. So was there a version of Circus Baby's escape attempt where she had been thought to be neutralized? And did it like not fit in? Because I know you like chopped up scenes to put in Shaz of Agony. I was curious about that.
So first of all, I just want to congratulate you. The movie came out. You were awesome in it. The famous CBL right here interviewing with us. So high fives across camera. We both did a great job, I think. It's good teamwork. I think so. In my opinion, the reason we had you record that is I liked the idea of potentially playing it at the end, maybe during the like getting in the elevator shot, where she has to kick the person out of the way to get the doors to close. My thought was having the speaker say a line like that when like it changes. It's like somehow either the computer system believes that the situation is resolved because nobody's pressing emergency buttons anymore, or that Baby just straight up like broke it or something. But yeah, having it finalized like, oh, all hazards have been neutralized, but it's not even talking about the right thing anymore. It's like we visually see the hazards are actually the people that work there, not the monster escaping.
Yes.
I thought that was really fun. And ultimately, we didn't put it in because we felt like we didn't want sirens and stuff still going during Cam's cameo scene. We thought that was better as a quiet, like, the place is half burned down at this point, and it felt better to have no, like, extra noise going on except for the sound of footsteps and some squealing and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like we actually struggled a lot with the sound design of Circus Baby's Escape, which thankfully a lot of it ended up in Shadows of Agony. So it was just like, here's a cool song. But we had so many options for sirens and voice alerts and footsteps and crunches and thuds and, you know, all this stuff. And it was so much at some point that we were like, it's just overwhelming. And it doesn't focus in on how awesomely, like, gruesome the scene is.
I think it's really inconsistent technically. If you mute, like, the music, I feel like sometimes there's, like, a siren still weakly going, sometimes there's not, but by the time Cam's scene comes up, there's, like, nothing. It's just like, it's a light room tone and nothing else.
And I do love how eerie that scene is.
I say that, and so then I'm like, am I sure that there's not a siren or something?
I think it was, like, really, really quiet.
It crossed my mind that maybe you would put that in there to throw me off, so I would be like, oh yeah. Like, that crossed my mind. I was like, oh no, it was like a hoax.
Feeding you the secret script, be like, oh, here's the part where Circus Baby's on the roof doing kung fu.
Not designed to throw you off.
I got no context. It was hilarious because AJ was just like, here's your lines, and then it was like, okay.
We gave you a lot of options, and I think it was just like, we want to make sure that we could drop in different things if there's a good moment for it, or if it, and that is one of those, like, things about, you know, like, filmmaking. Sometimes you get partway through and you know, we call it killing your darlings, right? Or killing your babies, and being like, oh, I spent money on this. I spent a night doing this. I invited everybody over to shoot this. It looks really cool. And then you're like, is it serving the product or the story specifically? And sometimes you're like, not the way I want it to. So then you're like, it's a cool behind the scenes thing now. And that's the nice thing about on YouTube is we get to show more of the behind the scenes stuff actually.
Maybe I'll plop in my sample recording of that.
Oh, you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should definitely, like, record them here in the interview so that people get context, because I know you recorded several things that didn't make it in.
What?
I feel like we used.
I thought all my lines made it.
Maybe? I don't know.
I thought all my lines besides that one made it in.
Did they?
You know?
We did go back and forth with at least a couple of them, but.
And we were very tired when we did it.
I feel like there was a line that was very similar to, like, all personnel prepare for lockdown, and it was like.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that didn't make it in.
Yeah.
Could be,
we tried a couple, I feel like, different wording things, and I don't remember specifically.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on, but yeah, for sure. Drop that in here so people can hear it.
Yes.
Attention, personnel. A security breach is in progress. All hazards have been neutralized. You may return to schedule.
All right. Sorry, I was trying to pick between two questions, but which one I want to ask first. I'm kind of curious, as, like, a filmmaking choice, why did you choose to only refilm parts of Web of Lies as opposed to refilming the entire thing?
That's a practical
situation. That was time.
Saves time.
We were hoping it would end up a lot more seamless than it was. I think we still did a pretty decent job. Like, I'd give us, like, a solid
great
B+.
I mean, the glaring one is Matt's hair.
Matt's hair,
really. It's funny because I feel like we brought the clip, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do." And he kind of mussed it up. He's like, "There," and we're like, "Sure," and then looked at it, like, back to back, and we're like, not so much.
It was really great because as I was going through some other behind the scenes stuff to do the credit sequence, I was realizing what the thing is that Matt Pat has clearly improved his hair products over time, and that his hair products.
It's that style channel.
Yeah, he's got a much stronger hold now in whatever hair product he's using. So like he would put his hair back where it was supposed to be at the beginning of every shot, and then do something kind of extreme or excited, and his hair would fall into his face. And that is our downfall. He should have had better hair products 7 years ago.
I'm just trying to get past the fact that you said he has better hold now, and I was immediately like, oh, he grabs you around the neck and holds. Ah! That's what that's where my head goes to. Say he has better hold.
I do think he has a stronger chokehold on the internet now.
He might. So. That might be also true. He could have both. Both is good.
But not refilming everything literally was just like, we were obviously happy with it before, so we were partly trying to salvage like the original feel, but also being like, we only have so much time. It's amazing that we actually had the time to go back and do all of Lizzie's scenes and some of MatPat's scenes to get that back together. So if we had had more time, we might have chosen to redo more of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was actually the final straw of determining when we were going to move forward with Katie.
Yeah.
Because we were like, when is enough time passed that like it makes more sense?
Yeah.
And that was the verdict, as we said, at this moment, Katie could be in here reshooting all of Web of Lies with us, at least those scenes that Lizzie is in. And we can just about guarantee that will be done and ready to start the rest of it before we know anything further about
Adriana's schedule,
a deadline that Adriana could actually start making.
Yeah.
And that's where we're like, it just like, it doesn't make sense anymore. As much as we want the continuity of going, we already made this project and we like this project with Adriana. It was like, this movie could be delayed a very, very long time. And if we're willing to just bite the bullet and say, try to have Katie reshoot those things so that it matches, we will probably be on our way sooner still. And that's what we ended up doing.
And I remember, like, as we were reshooting Web of Lies, like, literally we had the Web of Lies video open and we're like scrubbing through the cuts, the scenes, the shots, and being like, okay, is Lizzie in this one? No, skip past it. Is Lizzie in this one? Yes, redo this one. And like literally like shot by shot.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny and also like weird. A weird way to watch Web of Lies.
Yeah. And I don't think we did it better in every situation.
No.
Not Katie so much, but there were things I liked that we did differently, like Katie grabbing some pliers to try to like fend them off with.
That was smoother.
Yeah. I thought that worked pretty well, the way she did that. But I also feel like some of the like shots with like them attacking, you know, her to like put her in the paper shredder, that didn't work quite as smoothly, I think, in the first version.
There's an overhead shot, I want to say, that you were sad to lose.
Never got that overhead shot to work the right way. So just something about Katie's timing and movements didn't cut together with the overhead the same way that Adriana's did. So so maybe they're just alternate universes, and the Adriana Lizzie is somewhere else right now, enjoying a perfectly normal existence at Freddy Fazbear's.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay. Since we've been talking about Katie so much, I'm skipping to a question that I asked and put in my form. But so in your Night 3 teaser, The Box, Katie plays your FedEx person that delivers it. I'm calling you out.
I've had to go back and rewatch this.
So I want to see, do you have a reason why they look the same, or is it just like, well, it's just purpose of what happens? It's just what it is now.
That is a beautiful observation.
That is a deep cut.
I am scared to say that is great evidence that Lizzie did not die in that explosion.
What?
I guess it's kind of obvious now, but I didn't die in that explosion.
Evil twin.
That's a pretty good one.
Evil twin? Is she evil though?
She was weird.
Twin?
She was definitely weird.
Maybe the Lizzie we were watching is the evil twin.
Glitch Trap was actually trying to save the world. Maybe.
Twins split at birth. Yes, secret twin.
Aren't there other
in my note? In my note for this question, I literally noted for Kat when I saw she asked this. I said, "Is this your way of trying to get them to canonicize Lizzie living? And if so, is she a robot? Because she's kind of giving robot human."
She is very. I was just thinking, I'm like, is this the like? We didn't resurrect like the Michael Afton purple guy thing, but maybe like Lizzie gets like scooped or something weird and ends up like a shambling half human in the original series that shows up working for FedEx, because that's the kind of person that FedEx would hire.
Funny.
I'm sure. It's true.
Yeah.
If they even work for FedEx. What if they work for Phone Guy?
You know, they were delivering Springtrap. the rabbit hole goes so deep. Oh no.
A rabbit hole.
All right, I'm preparing for the new theories around the fact that somehow Lizzie shows back up with a box full of Springtrap.
You know, just a box full of Springtrap.
That's what everyone wants for Christmas.
You know?
Let's see. I'm debating between asking a lore. You know, I'm gonna ask this one. So, at what point in development did you decide to shift MatPat's character? And I guess the real question would be to create William Afton as another character that isn't MatPat.
Do you even remember when we did that?
Yeah, I'm trying to like what provoked this.
I I feel like there was a little bit of
I
a
was
push.
such a huge advocate for Henry Emily.
Yeah, you were.
You were, and I do feel like there was a strong push going on for Henry Emily to be mentioned, like at all. And I do think that we were like, you know, a flashback to a good partner doesn't have much bearing unless we can do something cool with him. And I don't remember when we decided.
Okay, so I believe this is when I started expanding this, and so like pandemic basically, I started making the checklist of here are all the things from the original Five Nights at Freddy's musical that don't work with what we currently have set or didn't get explained well enough.
Yeah.
So for example, the puppet being the only one that could defend us and being like, that's not really something that you see from that musical. So now it's our job as people making a prequel to show why they would have come to that conclusion.
Yes.
Why are Springtrap's wires all burned out? Maybe that's on us to be able to show. The bear eating a face didn't feel important to us that way. But
Apparently.
but one of those, you know, it was a throwaway. One of those things that we felt like was important that was not a throwaway to us was MatPat saying, I go by many names.
Yes.
And then he rattles off names that no one has been using for him. And that felt like, okay, it was funny for the bit. Can we do something more with it?
Yes.
Because it's not treated super, super like a joke. It's just very fourth wall in the original series. And we're like, this is a moment where I think we can build. So I think that became on the list of like, he says he has these other names. He says he goes by many names. And people are calling him William Afton in this. And he doesn't even drop that name. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that, I think, was the impetus of going, it's time to decide, does he actually have other names? And if he does, why? What is going on with this guy? And deciding that's part of his shtick is he needs to be killing people, taking their names, and that means he has a very specific list of people that need to die that we can then say, there you go. These are the identities that he's been operating under for years now.
I see you.
Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it. It's funny how just a stupid line in the original
Aw.
yields like this whole like pulling the mask off and be like, you're not William Afton. Like crazy stuff that all is just because we did that.
A fan favorite line that gave us one of the juiciest reveals I think we've ever done.
I know. It feels good that something silly from the original prompted like big twist energy.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It was chaos quite literally everywhere when that line came out.
Oh, I felt good watching the chat that day. I waited so
so
long.
Man.
It's almost like it stole thunder from the hands getting cut off stuff.
It did.
But I'm not sure it did. I think people are still hung up on that from like 2 scenes ago.
We were like, what happened?
They're like, this is too much. I can't with this. What is happening?
It was the double whammy that you just were completely thrown off.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like everything that made sense is no longer in play. So what do you make of it now?
Oh wow, time is flying. My next question for you guys are: do you have any headcanons on the characters you play that maybe aren't canon, but you like to think that maybe they do this?
Well, I already discussed my big one. On the characters we play. So things that Bonnie does. What does Bonnie do in his spare time?
I
don't want to know what Bonnie does in his
Yeah.
spare
What
I
doesn't
think
he
we're
do?
better off not knowing.
He actually is a best mustache world champion. He's one of those guys that like combs his mustache.
No,
And
I don't want to see that. I like him with just a little messy mop around his nose. I can't imagine him with a weird waxed mustache. This is scary.
man.
I was trying to think of other characters because again, I'm not sure that Purple Guy has barely gotten any new story.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. I don't think he needs it. We get it. He wants more hours. That's it. He's probably in debt to some sharks or something. He made some bad life decisions.
Oh, man.
And now he's trying to get Freddy Fazbear's to pay him enough to settle it.
Did
all.
you really just say he doesn't need more backstory? And then we're
And
like,
then
he has
he's
a gambling
concoct a little-
addiction. And
I have no idea what it entails, but yeah, I assume he owes somebody money somewhere.
man.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some of the other characters, what some extra backstory for them could be. I don't know. Do you guys have some like suggestions?
Yeah. We love hearing what other people come up with.
You clearly spent more
My
time
running
thinking than we have.
headcanon. My running headcanon is that AJ is the younger brother of Alexandra. I don't know. It's just like a fun thought that I had, and I like it, so I keep it. But
Interesting.
AJ Benedict?
because I don't think we have a last name for AJ.
Yeah.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, he doesn't really.
I don't think in this one.
But
Huh.
but then Freddy Fazbear's
I keep track of a lot of the AJs.
They have a serious like nepotism problem or something. They only hire 2 whole families.
Yeah. Okay, so this is
They're the only
interesting.
ones willing.
This
Would
is
you then be
interesting.
implying that Alexandra would be Henry's? Well, no, because Henry doesn't have any kids because his kids died,
Yeah.
or his kid died.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously they hire, Mr. Wants to Battle and Mr. Iplier, so
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is probably what you're looking for, actually. We discussed whether or not this explains also the trapping a bunch of them in a room and hoping they kill each other thing in the original musical. Because we were saying, after hiring Mark, apparently, and again, we never confirmed
Yes.
it, but everybody knows Mark's voice. Guy on the phone that they order pizza from sounds a lot like Mark. And the pizza shows up from Freddy Fazbear's.
Yes.
The implication, and this concerned us about giving Mark the part, but we decided to do it anyway, was that Mark actually was working for Freddy Fazbear's at some point, whether he realized it or not. And that feels...
But that he quit on his first day because he was tired of people ordering ketchup and raisin pizzas.
And
Would
somehow he becomes a loose end in the Freddy Fazbear's fiasco that is blowing up a restaurant with a bomb, cutting your hands off to fake your death, taking a bunch of people's identities, and whether this becomes a scenario that Phone Guy in the future during a Five Nights at Freddy's musical realizes that this guy that took the pizza order that day was technically employed and might have crossed paths with somebody. Nate Wants to Battle sat at a table with him at some point. Purple Guy said, and all 3 of these jokers might know just a little too much, and maybe everybody else he's cleansed the earth of, but these 3 people, and he's like, time to get rid of the final 3 pieces of this. Again, not really canonical, but it's hard not to question if it's related. So
I like it.
I think my thought process was that this was when Alexandra wasn't confirmed to be alive. So my thought process was similar to Lizzie goes to take up work to figure out what happened to her brother. So
Yeah.
AJ would take up work to figure out what happened to Alexandra, and that's why he's so pushy for more hours.
the more hours, just to get into the business longer. Yeah.
He's just like, I need to know.
I can see it.
Yeah. Anna would be a really good big sister, so
She would.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I
I would
agree.
like to be her brother.
She even looks a little like your big sister.
Yeah, she does. Actually. Yeah. She's taller though.
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot who's asking the question next.
It's my turn.
Oh,
No,
it's your
you
turn.
just
Go ahead.
asked a question. I mean, you can double up. This is your interview. I'm just here to co-host. All right. Do you have a favorite cameo, whether one that was written in... Whoa. Sorry, the rephrase of the question. Do you have a favorite cameo, whether that be to write, or how it was performed, or just being able to get someone into the project?
Okay, we got so dang lucky with who we got on board for cameos. I cannot
know.
believe how many people we wrangled into this one project. Every time one of them said yes, I was just like, score, yes, let's go.
And it's still only about 2/3 of the people that we try to get.
It is, yes.
Yeah, maybe close
Oh.
to half. So
Yeah, we sent out a lot of messages to a lot of different
Yeah.
people to be like, hey, we're doing this thing. We have all these teeny tiny little parts. You don't even have to come to us. You can do them in your own house, a bunch of them. I think favorites.
well, Cat and Books Are Life is obviously
so good.
the cameo that I was waiting the longest for.
You don't have to say mine because it's my interview. You don't have to say mine.
Oh, is this your interview? Oh, I know. I was just being honest. I had no idea that this was going to go on your channel. Wow.
I will
lucky.
go ahead and say I really like Daco's. I think his Mr. Mad Pad is so funny and works so well in
Y'all-
that scene. Oh my gosh.
Y'all were wild for naming him Mad Pad.
It's because of the list. The names that Phone Guy says at the end of the original Supercut. We were like, we need
Oh.
a Mr. Matt Pat or Mad Pad or something close for
something
him
like that.
to assume the identity of. And so we were like, here we go. And it's Daco.
I think it's really funny because that is not the performance that we were expecting. Like,
No.
I feel like I was trying to remember if I gave him a recording, or I guess what we gave him was the footage of Matt on set.
Yeah.
And somebody off camera reading the like phone call back and forth with him.
Yeah.
And that's what we sent to him. And so somebody was just literally saying the lines. You know, they weren't trying to do a voice or anything. And he sent us back 3 different voices of that whole conversation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so we went with his first take, actually, which was that, like, sinister one. It sounds kind of like this. And it was just so funny because I was like, really? That's... Huh? And so we moved on to the next one, and then he gave us like, we are the industry leaders of the animatronics, whatever. You should be more concerned with your animatronics. It was like very like pompous.
Oh,
and we're like, huh? And then the last one was like,
God, I'd love to hear those.
oh, we should release them. We should.
We should, absolutely.
And the last one was like very like, it was like a wealthy Texas businessman. It was like, then it was poor investment. And it was so funny listening to his like
God.
American accent. And we tried. I want to say
Hilarious.
both the first and the last one. I think we skipped over the pompous one because we were like,
It doesn't read quite right.
I want him to sound more sinister. And the first and the third were more sinister.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, it was so funny because I was like initially like, I assume we're going to go with the American sounding one because everybody else hasn't had an accent here. And it seems weird that he's doing business with somebody potentially overseas for this. But the more like we listen, I'm like, I just like how nasty this guy sounds. He sounds really mean. And then the idea of like, well, I feel like William Afton is supposed to have like a British accent in some of the games and stuff. So I was like,
Yes, that's correct.
yeah. So I'm like, maybe this actually works. That this is where you get that like reference in a little bit that like one of the people that was a bad guy and he does kill and takes identity of actually kind of sounds a little bit more like maybe he should have sounded all along, but he doesn't take the accent because he can't do the accent very well. Maybe. Silly.
So
Right.
Do you want to name drop anyone other than Daco?
Other than CBL. I mean,
flatter me.
I was so glad to have everybody work on this that we got.
Really,
I thought,
really.
you know, I knew it was a long shot to get Mark involved at all.
Yes.
And it was a long shot. It really was. And I pushed him several times to do an on-camera thing, and we just couldn't. There was no way.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I kind of suggested to him, or if I come to you with the camera, and it's like, I can send a recording. We can record it. I'll record it sometime.
Yeah.
It was nothing but I'll record some lines for it. And even that was like, you can't complain because the
did a
Five Nights at
great
Freddy's
job.
movie couldn't get this guy. Like
Yes.
his own teams have him. I heard from somebody who works with him on Cloak stuff, and they're like, how did you get him to do something? We haven't seen him in like 6 months. He doesn't answer anything. And I was like, I don't know.
hilarious.
I don't know how we got him to do this. He is just incredibly hard to reach for things.
But that's why he gets like such a massive thank you from us for picking
Yeah.
us,
I
for
cannot
somehow
believe
answering
that
our
he
call.
said he would do even that much. Chaz was excited.
Chaz.
You know,
Oh my
I've
gosh.
never worked with Cam before, except
No,
I
Cam's
sent
great.
him something before, but it's all virtual or remote.
Virtual.
So virtual. So it was really cool to actually have Cam come to us and work on set with us and get to be in a scene with you.
Man,
and, like,
he was so into it. I mean, on every single person I feel like that did a cameo for us, I could be like, oh, he was so into it. But like, Cam was like literally out in one of our
Yeah.
garages, like screaming, and we were like, the neighbors are gonna hear, but keep going, keep
oh
going.
yeah,
Like,
he leaned into it.
oh, he was doing such a great job.
Yeah.
Chaz was willing to like. He flew to us. He did a fantastic job. So many takes, so many different tries at different
It's fun
things.
working with people that have watched the channel. Like you
Yeah.
guys are a lot of fun to work
Yeah.
with. Because you guys know what's up. And so it's a different experience with like YouTubers that like have heard of you or crossed paths with you, but they don't really follow you. I'm like, it's fun to work with them
And
for
it's like
different
you
reasons.
have
but-
diehard fans.
Yeah, yeah. The people that like already know the channel, it's like they've kind of like already made up their mind exactly how they're gonna do a Random Encounters thing before. And it's fun to see what they bring to the table knowing the brand already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, if I may say a cameo that did not happen that I most regret, it's Scott
Absolutely.
Cawthon. I
Ooh.
tried to reach out to Scott, and I thought, you know, this would be really, really cool to give him just a quick little thing. And we were saving actually a potential moment where Baby driving to Freddy Fazbear's almost hit somebody like a bum in the street who was like drunk or something. and like stops and
Oh my
asks them
God.
like, which way is Freddy's or something like that. And the bum looks up and goes like, never heard of that or something like. I'm like, this would be so much fun to get Scott to do. And she drives off and just leaves this guy who thinks like he's going crazy because the clown almost ran him over. Like, this would be so fun to just drop in here for Scott, but never heard back from him.
That's
And
hilarious.
wasn't a surprise, but
I will say it was very funny because when Gwen made the ARG, we got like the first like 9 seconds of Shadows of Agony, and it's just enough to hear Mark's voice, and
Yeah.
everybody's freaking out about that. And I messaged Gwen. I was like, "Am I going crazy, or is that Mark?" And she's like, "Well, Mark's as likely to be in this as you are, except I didn't know what episode I was in, so, so that was like my
Yeah.
reveal moment. I was like, oh."
I had so much fun with the ARGs. You have no idea. Like all the
We need to
troll
do
energy
more
I've
of
ever
them, please.
wanted. Maybe.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll see what other big things we can come up with that are worthy of the ARG.
oh, I'm sure there'll be a project or two that are worth spending a little time on.
Yeah.
So my next question for you: have you guys ever considered turning your your FNAF series into another medium, such as a live stage play or musical, book, etc.?
Well, I was thinking about doing a furry convention called FNAF. And seems like it'd be a great investment.
Oh, no. He's never brought that up ever before, and
Oh.
he won't again.
Okay. Legal says no. I understand.
Legal said no.
We would love to see it turned into a stage play. I personally just love live theater in general. I think they do so many cool things.
Yes.
There's so many things I would love to see how to translate to a stage play, like the car crash. Like how you doing that?
Oh, there's ways.
Lots of
I mean, if Mean Girls can do it, y'all can too.
it's true. So would absolutely love to do it. I don't know if we will ever be the ones to do that translation because we like our medium. We love our medium. We're
Yeah.
kind of good at our medium.
I'll do it.
But yeah, no, I love every time we'll get so many emails of like kids and their high school drama programs or their community drama programs or like anywhere being
my
like,
God.
hey, like, can we translate your video to do this thing? And we're always like, yes, and just send us a recording of the performance. That we love to see it. So doing the entire FNAF as a stage play would be the entire thing. Act 1, Act 2, let's go.
I feel like the first
Yeah.
5 nights lend itself really easily, and that's
Yeah.
what everybody tends to do. Is
Yeah.
They'll do the first 5 nights of Freddy's musical. And I love that. And I want to watch those. Like, I want to go see them. We've never actually gone to a play to watch somebody do it.
We always talk about like sneaking into the audience for these things and just
It's so
like sitting
fun.
there and watching our thing on stage.
Yeah. But we've never done it.
Nope.
I feel like first nights at Freddy's would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
There's way more like, and this is though where I'd almost relish the opportunity to do some extra songs and splash in new musical
Yeah.
numbers and give that opportunity of like, let's make it, I'll adapt it for stage a little bit.
Yeah.
I only see this happening though if somebody who had that like theater experience kind of stuff or some like real good touring kind of, companies or something like that came to us and said, this has potential. I can take care of a bunch of logistics, but I need you to sign off on it and probably have some involvement creatively. That's where I would be really kind of excited to maybe we do this. But without, like, it's not something we're going to take the reins and run with.
No.
So, sadly.
I'd kill to play Circus Baby in one of these. If I was live, Circus Baby.
You do a great job.
Me too.
I also think that this like 7-year span that we've talked about of like Nate Wants to Battle, having this job, I think there is some opening for something there. So I don't know if there's like a comic book series or something that could be fun. Again, like obviously our involvement is very, very limited. It's a copyrighted property. Like you can't do a whole lot outside of just like fan stuff with most of it. We've even again talked about like an after sequel series where phone guy breaks out of prison and stuff, and like I've mentioned before, we had kind of a song actually for him and stuff, which there are cues of snuck into the soundtrack of this one even. But we've never done it, and I've said maybe someday we'll get Matt to actually I'll finish that song, we'll let him actually perform it. It's an actual Matt solo, which he never actually got the entire musical, so I feel bad. But I don't think Mark would want to do that. Nate, obviously, we were very lucky to get him on board, even though he'd said he was, gonna retire from FNAF a while ago too.
Yeah.
So I just don't find it
I
likely.
was shocked. I was like, Nate's back.
Yeah, I was too. I think he was a hard sell at points, but he was just itching for enough nostalgia in his life, I think, that he was like, that's kind of fun, actually. I haven't done like something with the puppets in forever. Why not?
I don't think he regrets it. He got to see Matt Pat throw a chair into a wall.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like...
Yeah. Ultimately, I think we had a fun time with him.
Yeah.
Like, we don't hang out except we're working, so it was an opportunity for us both to hang out a little bit and do something kind of chill. So
yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, but if those three all wanted to go again, I would be down as well. But I don't want to be the person that pushes that.
No,
because I feel like I've pushed them much harder than anyone else in the entire world has probably ever pushed them. So I'm done.
Also, I feel like the subject line on the last emails we sent them about this project were
never
this
again.
is it, never again. We won't ask you for
bother
anything.
you for any more Five Nights at Freddy's stuff ever again.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, straight up. So.
You kind of touched a bit on the idea, but did you have any songs, scenes, or plots that you cut out that you wish that made it in?
That I wish made it in?
Songs,
I think we put in all the best stuff.
I've mentioned it briefly in other scenarios, but we considered trying to sneak Ennard into this story, and it just got
We
really
actually had
like.
a question about that, so yippee.
Oh, good. Do you want to hit me with that before I go on, or you want me to?
So we wanted to ask like what the purpose of Ennard would have been. Like, and I think you touched on it a little bit during Etros, but honest to goodness, I don't really know.
Yeah. No, I don't remember.
Sorry,
exactly
Etro, if you're watching this. But
it was all
we were trying to
blur.
figure out like was there a purpose for Ennard, or was it just like, because I think you mentioned it was like riding off the high of like, oh, Vanny's here, we can add another name everybody knows.
Yeah, that's why I think Ennard did not make it. It just became, we realized we're treating it like a challenge. There wasn't a good reason to have Ennard there, other than another like little buzz for fans. Like, oh, I know who that is. Oh, cool. Oh, they're in it too.
Yeah.
But that is a dangerous slope. And I think we already played that game a little with Vanny, because Vanny got introduced a little late into the story, goes out a little early in the story. And I would understand some people being like, should have had her at all. And I disagree with that. I think Vanny brings something really cool to the story and gives some of the characters really cool stuff to do and a more interesting like side plot. So I like Vanny's part in that. But Ennard was going to fall 3 shades below that, I think, of involvement.
Yeah.
To being just like I don't remember whether we're trying to replace Glitch Trap, like the final boss thing where like he melds into something and like parts of him and the other, like you get Pig Patch back and stuff. Like,
Oh my God.
how nasty do you make this? And I think that's where we're like, this is ridiculous. It's a cool idea, but as an idea, not necessarily as a story point. So that's, I think, where we like walked away. But I did I Googled out like some costume kind of options and started looking practically of like, do you make a person in a costume? Do you do a puppet? Like, what do you do if you want to make a creepy Ennard thing that like they have to fight at the end of this? And I just kind of walked away and said, there's not a good spot. We already have a good established villain. We have 2 decent established villains. You got anti-heroes. You got good guys that turn into bad guys, and like bad guys that are masquerading as good guys. I'm like, this is plenty busy already.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like throughout the process of creating this musical, legal has become absolutely infamous. So can you tell us more about scenes legal originally said no to and what you like basically had to do to just like convince her? And are there any ideas that didn't get in because legal couldn't be convinced? I also would like to add, Gwen mentioned something about pulling out teeth.
Okay, so let's start at the pulling out teeth. Really early in the AJ trying to write the script thing was this question of how to get Phone Guy to fake his death.
This was after we decided his identity, I think, was going to be different.
Yes.
It was important to be able to be like, he's got to, have getting rid of his identities.
Yeah. and I think it's the Making Six's raincoat costume video that like you can literally
Yes,
hear us
yes, it
I
talking
was just
through
about to
that.
ask about this.
Yeah, so that was great. Very confusing conversation to me because he did not preface it with anything other than how if you were going to fake your own death, how would you do it? And he was trying to pitch me on, could you pull out your own teeth and leave them there for dental records? Like, could someone piece together who you are with just like spare teeth littered somewhere? And I was like, that's real gross to watch on camera to see. You're telling me we're gonna watch Matt Pat pull out his own teeth. I think that's not a good call. But B, I don't actually think that's how dental records work. I don't.
Okay, well,
I think you
would
need
like
the
to-
teeth set.
I would like to just say, this was the alternative. I
Yes.
wanted the hands, and I said that's pretty gruesome.
Yes.
And so that's where I was like, I wonder if you can fake the teeth better if he sticks pliers in his mouth and then you
Yes.
cut away and see the tooth in a plier kind of thing.
Yes.
So that was my thought, was you might be able to do something a little less graphic than literally taking his entire hands off.
And
with a
maybe it's just
chainsaw.
me. Maybe it's because I have a thing about heads and teeth and anyway stuff.
Most people have heads and teeth, actually.
Yes. But
Except for the ones that pulled them out faking their death. Not those guys.
either way, he brought up that idea, and I was like, let's go back to the hands. And the hands was also something that I originally was like, I don't know if we can get away with this on YouTube. And then he was like, well, we'll be slightly off screen.
Well, you did.
yes, we did.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
That started out as a legal says no, and then turned into, if you send the script to Matt Pat, and Matt Pat approves cutting his own hands off on screen, and knowing that's going to be on YouTube forever, then okay, as long as everyone in the room is okay with doing this thing. And that was also, it was a scene that I was like really intensely like paying attention to everyone on set, being like, is everyone still okay? Like, is everyone willing to do another take? Like, because we can just stop. Like, is everyone doing all right?
There's no stopping this train.
There was no stopping that train.
We did a lot of takes of it, too.
So that one, we did so many.
Well, he looked too happy in some of them, and he looked too in pain in other ones. Like, we had to ride the line. It was very carefully orchestrated to show he had some sort of a game plan that was successful, and he was happy to pay the price, but it doesn't come without sacrifice.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot loaded into that moment,
Yes.
and I do think he hit it beautifully. And he actually asked to see like the other takes. He was like, I want to see like based on direction how I affected my performance a little bit, because he's an actor. He works on stage, like, or he did. And so this was like an exciting opportunity for him to be like, I'm going to test going this way and a little too much that one, a little too that, and we're going to feel it out as we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gave us some that were just like miserable, like agonizing. Some where he's like holding back the suffering and trying to push through. Some where he's just a little deliriously too giggly about it. And that's what we kind of settled on, was something that's like, it almost jumps. You can see it change in his face as the new wave of pain kind of hits again. But then he remembers pain is good. Pain is my friend. Pain means we did it. We're getting away with it. And that, like, he really gets it.
Oh, man. The other two legal says no. One happened while we were reading the script, and we got to Bonnie's line, "She's having my babies." And the instant I read it, I was like, what is this joke? Like, what
I
is
believe the
going
what you said
on?
was no. Legal says no. No.
And it was just such a like WTF, like, what did you just write into this script? And he was like, okay. And then I read to the next page and realized that was literally the reaction he wanted everyone to have. And I was like, okay, we're putting it back in.
It can stay.
I get it. I do.
I wish you guys would have seen my face when that happened, 'cause I was like, oh my god.
I mean, that was one of those
Who's
moments.
done to speak?
I was like, we should have been filming the read through, because I'm pretty sure my face the first time was like, what am I reading? Like, and then of course the third legal says no was the car coming through the wall, which AJ pitched to me as like, well, in the first FNAF we had a guy with a chainsaw come through a wall. We have to go bigger. And I was like, okay, I get the intent, but a car, and then it was my car through a wall in our garage. And I was just like, there's a lot of things. Oh, and my character is driving the car.
Yeah.
I
There's a lot
don't.
of you involved.
It was a lot of me.
You're being voluntold to take your car through a wall. Good luck.
I don't know how
It's
many
all for
people
the cause.
know this. I am not a very comfortable driver. I don't like being.
How long have you had a license for?
I have had a license.
10 years?
I got it when I was 25. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But
I'm
so
right there with you.
yeah. Anyway, so I've never been super comfortable. I remember doing the stunt driving for was it ICU where I run over Granny and Grandpa at the end, and being like, I was so nervous doing that one, and that was like, I swear I was going like 3 miles an hour. Like I was just so nervous I was gonna hit them or something though. And so when he was like, oh, it's your car and your character who has to drive through a wall and stop within 12 feet so that you don't hit the real wall on the other side of the garage.
You're really concerned about the floor because the floor is fake in there.
It's a fake floor. And I was like, I don't know what the tires are going to do on this fake floor. I don't know what the brakes are going to do. Yeah,
like straight into the wall.
I was seeing so many things. And the reason legal ended up okaying it was I was told I didn't have to drive the car.
Get a baby driver.
We were going to dress this one up as Circus Baby, and he was going to drive the car.
The most attractive Circus Baby, I might add.
We pre-scored the wall that we were going through, so it didn't really take that much force to go through it. And AJ did several tests of my brakes and other things to see how well the car would stop, on that fake floor. And a variety of things with no one in the room and things going okay. And finally I got down to the end. I was like, okay, I think we can do this safely. I am like 98% sure that nothing will go wrong. And I'm going to go sit in the house now while you do the stunt with 911 open on my phone just in case.
In case you hear a much louder crash than you're expecting. Did you hear it in the next room?
I did. Yeah. Okay. Me and Katie were sitting on the couch.
Did you flinch?
Yes, I did. But it worked out so well, and I think I'm just an anxious person, and so I think anybody else would have been like, we've done all the safety checks, everything's gonna be okay. AJ is a very competent driver. It'll be fine.
I was thinking about this when I asked you like when you got your license, because I realized that I'd had my license almost 10 years before you.
Twice as long as me?
Yeah. And when I got my license as like a 15, 16-year-old, whatever, I was like immediately using that car in videos. We were immediately like hanging out the side of it filming, and we were like hitting people with the car and stuff. Like, as soon as you have a car and you're a teenager with a video camera, you're like, cool, now I do action scenes with the car. So the number, I was like realizing in my head how many videos somebody's hanging out of a car, or you've got people riding on the front of the car going down the road or things like that. It's like, we use the car for a lot of filming.
We did.
So it's like, I don't think of myself as like, oh, I'm a great driver, I love driving or something, but I have used it in a lot of videos. And this was another video. Like, all right, this is what we do with the car for this video.
But I have to end all of this with, kids, don't do this at home. We're not even professionals. We barely got away with it.
If there's any children watching my videos.
So legal did end up saying yes to everything.
Yes.
I don't think there was anything actually shut out of the script.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, no, there was nothing else.
Yeah, the closest we would have come were like things cut for time. But even then, I can't actually name really jokes that we were like, that's a good joke and we're cutting it for time. It was like, fans will not forgive us if we cut this thing that was funny just because we said, it's getting a little long. Mm-hmm. Like, FNAF fans have a lot of patience. They would rather you like shoot your shot than like bow out early and be like, I wasn't sure if you'd like it or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's my turn again.
Wires, okay? We started out a little. I'm sorry, we started you guys a little late because we were fixing our tech and stuff.
Yeah.
So don't worry too much about
it.
The clock right now.
Okay.
We'll do this one. So we talked a lot about we get a lot of glitch traps motivation in this, and so people wanted to know, do we have a motivation for why Henry just wants to go around killing kids, or does he just do that? Is that just what he likes to do?
I know there's been a push for more understanding of his character, and in my opinion, there is not an explanation. This is I see this character as not somebody of like, oh, they were beaten a lot as a kid and now they take it out on other people. I don't see it as I just think he could have had the best parents in the world and the nicest teachers in the world and plenty of food on the table and nice pets and things. And then he went around going, I'm just thirsty to kill things. I see him as he's somebody who just, like they say about the Grinch, his head wasn't screwed on quite right. And so he sees opportunity to kill other people, and it makes him feel better about his own existence. Somehow life is misery, but taking life is joy. So yeah, I do not have really a good explanation. And I think if somebody pushed me and said, come up with one, I wouldn't give you something fascinating. I would say he had a perfectly normal childhood. His parents loved him and he disappointed them horribly.
This feels like what's his face from Puss in Boots and the Last Wish. I forget his name.
I know the guy. I know who you're
Yeah,
talking about. I don't remember his name.
I don't know if whoever
I
had
saw
the
the movie,
pies.
but Georgie Porgy.
It's the
Yeah.
He was like, oh, why are you doing this? Sort of like, who hurt you in your childhood? It was like, oh no, I had loving parents and all this and all that. My life was good. And he's just there.
Yeah.
I forget what it is.
No, I'm starting to think you don't appreciate the value of a life.
No. I mean, I love these guys. Flex the glutes. I need a solid surface.
No, I never had much as a kid. Just loving parents, and stability in a mansion, and a thriving baked goods enterprise for me to inherit.
Yeah.
As you do sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I see.
I'll pop a clip in my interview.
I don't even know that kids are specifically like a thing for ours. Because, right, like there's the idea of like child murderers that are only like interested in killing kids or, horrible things like that.
Yeah.
Not that killing adults isn't horrible too. But I do believe that for our version with like Matt Pat, I could believe like he almost exclusively kills adults in our universe.
Yeah,
we hear about him
'cause
killing kids, but
we hear about it, but also like if we're to assume that the kid in the beginning with William Afton, names are hard, with William Afton is killed along with William Afton, then that's only one kid that we've seen.
yeah, and not even on screen still. We just have to assume.
Yeah,
it.
like
Yeah.
quotations on screen.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's very much just out of opportunity. He has a business that attracts kids. Kids are more defenseless, easier to trick into coming into a back room with something. So I
Yeah.
think out of opportunity, he kills a lot of children in our universe. But absolutely is killing just anybody, everybody, whoever he sees opportunity to kill. It always makes him feel good to kill someone. So it's weird, but
All right.
some people like that like feeling of like rubbing like behind your ears with like a sponge in the shower, and he really likes that feeling of killing people. Everyone's got their own thing,
And to quote Ash Rose, everybody needs a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And his is dangerous.
Oh man.
I was gonna go with the good old do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's choosing to work so that he can do what he loves.
Really. All right. Next question. So AJ, I believe AJ, you were running on Tumblr, but so on Tumblr, you mentioned Virus was originally labeled as Remnant song, and I kind of just want to hear about it. So, like, if you had anything like going with Remnant song, I just kind of want to hear about it.
Okay, so sorry, cat hairs. I don't know that the lyrics that I have been working with ever really explicitly named Remnant, for example. But this is actually, I'm kind of glad that you brought this back up, because obviously we brought Agony into the mix, at least like lyrically through Shadows of Agony.
Yes.
And I like to think that there is truly in the FNAF musical a presence of like Remnant / Agony kind of going on. And you might have to explain the finer details to me because I forget exactly other. Agony is what causes Remnant. Is that correct?
Okay, so Remnant is like when the metal is what the dead children possess, right?
Okay.
So Remnant is what you get when you melt that down, and I think Matt Pat calls it soul juice.
Yeah.
And so it's soul juice.
Okay.
Agony is it's in the books, and if I had done my due diligence and read them, they sit on my shelf unread.
A lot of things sit on shelves
I
for a long time.
I believe it's what you get when a spirit has been around and it's the like lingering hatred and negative emotions of a spirit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a spirit. It can just be like a powerful negative.
It was
It's what
it was a
creates
power
charge
it's a powerful
in the book.
negative force.
Yeah.
Yes, it is with Charlie. Yeah. It's I think there's like a whole scientist that experiments with it in one of like a bonus chapter. I'd have
Yeah.
to look into it.
Okay. So, in a sense, I think it's an arguable thing you could see in First Nights at Freddy's on potentially multiple occasions. Especially though in this like final minutes of it. You first kind of encounter it a little bit, I think, with that I call it the baby beatdown.
Oh my god.
When Lizzie and Baby start fighting, and you can listen, and I actually like I did this really last second. I had to like cross check and see, is this distracting? Some of the noises coming out of Baby during that scene are pretty unlike any other noises you ever hear her make. And A, I think it just works really cool cinematically. It's really fun to watch. But B, I feel like it is explainable as she is beyond even her programming anymore. Something else is taking hold a little bit. This like supernatural level of like she is becoming kind of a monster. And to me, that is that idea of like the agony that's gonna like poison whatever mechanics she's made out of. Something is worse and darker in her than just being like an angry robot. And that starts to come out as she's almost like making these inhuman noises. And then in that final moment where Glitchtrap gets his revenge, there are two ways to read that scene, I think. Maybe three, I guess. One is it's a coincidence. He happens to just have just enough. You know, she didn't quite finish the job, right? That's one way. Another way is, I like this one. I think this one might be the most likely. Another one is when he says you're an inch to the right of walking out of here alive, that he is actually safeguarding himself in case something happens. And in fact, an inch to the right was not what she needed to do to him. And so she has not finished him off still. That was a lie. And he actually sent her the wrong direction from his chip. That is, I think, a very possible scenario as well, that he has the juice left because he tricks her. But the third option, and the most relevant one to your question, is that something really awful has brewed in him for years. And it is keeping him beyond programming and beyond physics any longer, where somehow he has something left in the tank. And I think that is another perfect example, especially after the baby scene. The agony, at least, is present in this.
Okay. I see you.
Thanks for seeing me. I don't really see you back there, though. It's because we don't have video calls set up. Yeah.
There's nothing to look at because I don't show my face.
Oh, well, that's why I don't see you.
Yeah.
Mine would
Maybe
be
one day you'll get a cut of me.
The face reveal. Are you Dream?
Yeah.
Okay, thought so.
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Are you the hungry Lamu?
Ooh, don't relate me to that creature.
Oh, poor creature.
Fine, he's just hungry.
I have no respect for hungry Lamu.
Oh, well, he has no respect for you.
I barely had respect for Hungry Lamu for years too. Now I have such a soft spot for Hungry Lamu. It's ridiculous.
Maybe this song just like irritates me because I hate the voices y'all
it's
did.
really
But that's a
irritating.
discussion for another day.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
look,
Gwen, we're on the same wavelength.
Got you.
sometimes hating something makes you love it instead.
I think me hating it makes him love it.
No,
So.
no, I felt this way about Clefairy. Like Clefairy, we picked on for years, and then Clefairy.
I love
Then
Clefairy.
Clefairy became my favorite Pokemon because we always bash on it. So now I'm like, I love
all
Clefairy.
right,
I always
Aw.
have to choose Clefairy for things. So it's a real thing. You can hate something until you love it. So just keep hating Hungry Lamu, and one day you'll love it.
I'll let you know if I do.
Okay, good. Thank you. This is how we got 4 million subscribers. They all hated it till they loved it.
And is it your turn or mine? I forgot again.
You can go ahead. I'm not gonna lie, I have a dog on my lap, so it's kind of hard to see the questions.
Yeah. Were there any theories, concepts, ideas, or headcanons that a fan made that influenced details in First Nights?
Oh, baby. I have to assume something that you said at some point was good enough. And that sounds rude. Good enough. Something probably inspired me to go, we could probably... Can you think of something that you feel like is similar enough that maybe I can use you as a cheat sheet?
You know,
I feel like I willed Henry Emily into existence.
I wanted him bad enough, and then he was here.
I don't know.
Apparently.
It's interesting because I feel like most of the theorizing that I started seeing was after like trailers started dropping, and obviously by the time trailers were dropping, like we've already filmed everything.
And it's like I like a lot of theories, but as you said, unfortunately, you end up seeing them after it's like, and then you can kind of adopt them as like a headcanon. But yeah,
like, oh yeah, I like that one. I'll keep that one.
Yeah,
but, like,
to say like whether it inspired the.
Yeah. I don't know. The script writing happened over such a long period of time that I don't even know.
I was trying to think of what the last things written are, because those are the most likely to have like had a chance.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that would be like the scene with Cam, for example. And that scene there's not really anything there, I feel like.
No.
Wait. Wasn't there another? The phone call with David and Katie during the montage. But again, there's nothing on screen. It's the montage, but you have audio going back and forth between them. Yeah. I don't think that's got anything really in it either.
Maybe we just say the murder wall. Because I do feel like her putting up all the murder walls was such a great thing of like, I did feel like you guys being like, oh, well, this connects to this and this connects to this.
True.
And I'll put this sticky note here.
It was the most like FNAF, a mirror for the FNAF community. This is like, she watches the games and plays the games too. She knows. She gets it.
It's all connected.
I felt so seen by that scene because Gwen's seen it. AJ, I don't know if you have, but I have a murder wall, basically.
Oh, are you gonna put a picture in your interview here? Do we get like a photo or something?
Maybe. I have a phone with a better quality camera now, but I have sticky notes about like who built this bomb, and or like before we even got a reveal that there was a bomb. I was like, because you AJ, you mentioned something about the series going out with a bang, and I took it too literally. And then it did happen.
It did happen.
Literally.
Did you take it too literally?
Yeah, I guess you did not take it too literally.
But
Just
I had
right amount of literally.
I had so many things going on it, and I'll pop a picture in. But I know Gwen's seen it because I sent her a picture at some point. But it's a wild board.
Yeah.
How long did you have this board going for?
It's still up.
Wow.
They're still putting pieces together.
I've had this. Literally, it started out the monster in your head comment stream. You mentioned like grudges, and eventually you just kind of stopped because it was. I think Nate was like, "No, CBL's gonna do too much with that," but I did. So I needed to figure out who would reasonably have a grudge against who. So that's how it started out, and then I just kept adding details.
Yeah.
And I know that's where the origin of. I made like a running theory that Glitchtrap's weight of the hammer speech was talking about him and trashing the gang, and that's where that started out because I realized there was a connection there.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
I was gonna say, I assume that the grudges we were referring to were mostly it's Glitchtrap and it's William Afton, and kind of mistakenly putting that into the wrong person. But then you also have a little bit of a Vanny and a Glitchtrap thing where he expects her support and has lost it.
It's actually so funny. I have a sticky note that's just Henry Emily ? And then DeHusta. It has this other thing pointing to it.
This is like an actual note I feel like we put on our wall too. I think that's on Lizzie's wall as well, maybe.
I know the whistle meme is on there somewhere.
Oh,
yeah, one of these days I'm gonna post a close up of that because I know you noticed it in the Instagram photo we posted. It's an obituary for I think a Joshua Whistler. And I forget he dies of something terrible. I forget. I did a whole
dysentery.
We definitely have photos, and it might be dysentery. There's definitely photos of that like entire murder wall, like piece by piece.
Yes.
Because I saw it the other day while looking for social media.
Yes,
stuff.
Some of them were just too good to let go in the trash.
Yeah.
I don't think they're on my phone anymore, but I'm scrolling anyway just in case.
Yeah, I wish we had more like firm answers for this one, but it is a little like
You're fine.
I think you can be inspired broadly,
Yes.
and not necessarily by specifics. I know there's been some really like smart theories, and sometimes you're like, maybe that would have made more sense. For example, I think people that have been like, he's going to sew the hands back on from the health inspector does make more sense in the idea of taking an identity than being like, if he ever has to have his hands checked and he's got 2 robot hands, that's really suspicious. So we're probably like stitching seams around your hands. But maybe you can like, I don't know. Maybe that actually is more suspicious. If you go, I was in an accident,
I feel like
it feels like maybe not having like hands.
I have no idea which is more suspicious.
Yeah, versus like prosthetic hands. I don't actually know which one registers more quickly as you're trying to pull something over on people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Either way, I think though that's one of those situations. And that does remind me that one scene we almost wrote in was Matt having his hands basically cleaned up. Yeah, something to the nature of like starting the process of getting like mechanical hands. And we had looked into a cameo, I think with JT Music at the time, shot out in North Carolina, so that Matt could basically do a scene where like a doctor or some unscrupulous person is helping reattach or at least clean up the wounds from his hands there. Somebody probably dies from it.
Yeah. We just decided it fit the flow better to give Baby a explanation of how she found Freddy Fazbear's.
So a legal says no thing, but Nate also said no. I had suggested, what if he is literally watching a YouTube video about like, so you got your hands cut off by accident, need to reattach them, do you? Well, not to worry, but first, here's a word from Raid Shadow Legends about our sponsor today. I was like, this would be so funny to watch this guy suffering trying to get his hands back on while he's watching a weird YouTube video about how to put your hands back together. And everybody was like, that is going to ruin the mood of this so much. And I was like, but it's so perfect. Somebody gets a really fun cameo where they just make a YouTube video about reattaching your own hands. But everybody shot it down. They were all like, this is too silly. And I was like, okay.
It didn't, in context, it didn't go.
It changes the flavor a lot.
I just want you all to imagine swapping out the scene where Baby kills someone with a stapler for a joke scene about a YouTube tutorial on how to sew your own hands back on.
The important thing is Matt agreed that he would do it. He didn't know what he was agreeing to, but
that's
he did
what's
say
funny to me. You guys have to be the only people on planet Earth to be like, Matt, nah.
Never mind. Sorry, Matt.
It wasn't nah.
We have Cam steady today.
So
Matt, go sit down. This is Cam's scene.
Speaking of Cam Steady, I was telling this to Kat before we started. I think you missed out on the opportunity to do Best Death in the RE Awards. Baby would have swept, but I would have voted for Cam Steady because I enjoyed that one.
That's funny.
He sold it hard.
We actually considered putting in Best Death, and then we weren't sure if that would be a spoiler for people. Like, there are other spoilers in the ARIA Awards, but we were like, we're still just a little too close to when First Nights came out.
Yeah.
Maybe don't put Best Death.
Yeah.
But, like, we talked about it. We nominated a couple.
Gwen was the first one to say, like, some people might not know these characters die, and they're going to find out on a stupid poll page. And I was like, oh, I do feel bad about that. So next year.
If you do it live again this year, you just like...
Oh, just sneak it in there?
Insert question.
Just sneak it in there?
Yeah.
It's a fan vote.
Yeah. Ooh, we could make it more fair by putting in people that didn't actually die so that there's not spoilers. And you can say, like, maybe these aren't real. Like, we're not saying it happened, but if it did happen, would you vote for it as the best
Someone who didn't die wins?
You give them an award. You're like, hey, we're not going to break the illusion. Congratulations, Cookie Mama, for dying in that 5 Nights at Freddy's spinoff. It was great.
Lance, you're up.
It's my turn.
See, now I have an animal sitting on me. We're just passing
I
an animal.
Is it Mr. Moo?
Yes.
It is a Mr. Moo.
And you're right. Here, you can't see him on screen.
He's sleeping below camera level.
I can't get
Oh.
Just his
Can
little
you give him a
ears.
boop for me?
Yes, a little boob.
There you go. All right.
Yay!
So this is a fun one. Would you do another Supercut style, like series of musicals for any other franchise? And this can be one that you've made musicals on, or one that you haven't and want to do.
The answer is yes, because we are gluttons for punishment.
That is the answer. That's it, right there.
I literally was talking to AJ like the day after First Nights came out. So like literally the day that like the official premiere went up instead of the live stream.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, so we're never doing that again. And he gave me a look and I was like, we're never doing that again, right? We're never doing that again. And the longer...
Make another meme.
The longer it's gone since, we wrapped it, and I say it's been 2 weeks, but it is like, it was an incredible amount of work, but it was incredibly satisfying to see everyone's reactions to, and to get to tell a longer story, to get to play the same character for multiple like shoots in a row, instead of like, oh, like we did the shoot and looking at it now, I wish I'd done whatever. Instead it's like, oh, I got to be in that character for a while. So like there's definitely I think it's an itch we will scratch again later. Much later.
What is wrong with us?
You need a break from First Nights. Like,
yeah.
That day, I remember crying. I started crying, and I said to Gwen, I was like, how can you love something you hated so much? And I know that's the theme. Like, I literally said that like 5 minutes ago of like, oh, you hate something till you love it.
Yeah.
But this is like... I've been following Mark's movie a little bit too, right? Because he's working on a feature film as well, or he's already finished a lot of it, I guess. But his Iron Lung movie, I know he said like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's so hard. It's so flippin' impossible. And I love it so much. And I'm like, in my experience, I didn't really love it so much until I was kind of through the woods of it. Which unfortunately was like literally the day it was like on YouTube finally. I'm like, this is the last and only, I will never have to do something difficult with this again.
Yeah.
But there is like really, that is a vibe. And it's like, I like both don't want to wish it on anyone, but also I want everyone a chance to experience loving and hating it so much. And I'm sure that you see it in theater, I'll bet. People that write books, I'm sure are like living that nightmare every day. Just about anything really.
Yeah.
As a theater geek, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hate it till the end, and then you loved it.
And like we've done
as a film student, every set.
Yes. We liked doing longer things like Phoenix Wright, like the original Supercut. We love doing trilogies and coming back and finishing stories. So it seems very likely that we will find some game that we're like, you know what, this just deserves it. I know back when Danganronpa was like very popular, we talked about that. We were like, there's no way to do this in 3 minutes.
Oh.
There's no way to do this in 10.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have to do like a series like Phoenix Wright.
If you're gonna get that many people, get them in for the long haul. Be like, everybody has to book 3 or 4 days. You're all staying on site at this location or in the same hotel, and everybody's got your costume every day you go put back on. You all have a copy of the script. Like, that sounds actually really cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
And if we thought Danganronpa would be popular enough to make
5 Nights at Freddy's wasn't enough, so
go watch it. No, like it's definitely
it won't
something.
Make back the money to do that.
Yeah, but
Not for us.
we're open to the idea of that. We like the idea of longer stories, of getting deeper into characters, of just not having to build a new set every 4 weeks, and instead being like, oh, we're on this same one for the next like 4 episodes. Like, let's do it.
My mom was confused. She was like, but you love doing different projects. You love the silly stuff and not like just killing people's favorite characters and stuff. Why would you do this to them? She was like, it seems almost sadistic, to kill characters that people like. Why would you do that? And so, but she enjoyed this movie. And I asked her at the end, I'm like, do you understand now why, after over 10 years of doing these like 3 to 5 minute silly songs and whatever happens, and then it doesn't matter ever again? Do you understand why doing this was like such a rejuvenating experience? And she was like, I think I do get it. I understand why having twists and character growth and stuff actually feels good. So, yeah, I like them both, but I can't imagine going the rest of my life and not maybe dipping our toes back in. And Danganronpa would be a really cool option.
It would be.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm combining 2 questions into one because it'll save time.
Okay.
So, oh, the wording's weird. Hold on. Okay. Was Circus Baby created for the sole purpose of being experimented on? If that isn't the case, what was she created for? And we also had a question about if anybody was possessing Circus Baby, and if she isn't possessed, what do her glowing eyes represent?
Ah.
You want to take a crack at these?
I don't know
Or do
if
you
I
want me
have
to?
any of the correct answers here.
That's the thing. Is a lot of them. If we didn't say it, then there's no correct answer.
Okay,
maybe.
so my headcanon and my understanding from playing the character,
Yeah.
I don't. I think she was basically created to be an animatronic like any of the other animatronics that was supposed to be entertaining and fun at a party or
Okay.
whatever. But kind of early on, she went a little awry. She didn't like it. And so the more she didn't like it, the more they kind of beat down on her. That's my opinion. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, I think she probably is supposed to perform at kids' parties or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, like in the game, she's designed for child snatching. And I think there's a little bit of implication maybe that's a little like what Glitch Trap and paying Mr. MadPad so much money for him was also like, but more maybe just bait in that case of like kids were supposed to love this and they won't stay in the same room with it. So clearly there's some degree of at least regular animatronics being used for like child kidnapping and stuff. But Baby, I think I'd still lean to a more innocuous purpose. The green eyes. What do you think about that one?
The green eyes was
not the silver eyes. Don't confuse them. It's a book. It's the book.
The book is staring me down.
the green. The green.
That silver eyes, is it?
Yeah.
The way I understood the green eyes to work were also kind of her fighting back against the chip almost. Like the internal actual like baby part of Baby trying to like push out of the restrictions that they placed on her.
Okay.
So the madder she gets, the more worked up she gets, the more she does something slightly outside of her program, things like that. The green eyes show up. I know we did play around a little bit with the idea that she would have fully green eyes at some point, and now I'm trying to remember what that was. I think that was an early draft because I think that was when we were still trying to decide if we were gonna let her kill Lizzie. Yeah. And like some things like that. But I feel like you could interpret it pretty easily as that is anytime she has a really heightened reaction to something or is pushing back a little too hard, that's when the green eyes come in.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's
what I read it as.
Group into some of that like agony stuff too, of being like she didn't develop green eyes until she'd been tortured enough to have developed a beyond programming dark side.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what happened in the games.
Yeah.
I'm happy to call it that. I think that's a good representation.
I think it's interesting that you're like, because she was made to entertain. Because I like my thought process was like she has a whole place named after her that's just testing animatronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Circus Baby Party Works. So I was like, okay.
This is interesting because this leads back into that question that I don't remember if we posed it the night that we tried to premiere it. I guess we successfully.
might have. Yeah.
That idea of
I wasn't there, so
okay. So
I was very tired.
Yeah, you might find this interesting then. We discussed that they mentioned there are like 3 locations for Freddy Fazbear's.
Yes.
And then the natural progression that I don't think everybody jumps to immediately is, well, what animatronics are at those locations? What do they look like? What do they act like? Do they talk? Do they have adventures? And we proposed that leading into the premiere because people have assumed that Freddy Fazbear will not get killed off, right? Yes. We're not going to kill off somebody from the... Yeah. But we weighed the options of could we kill him off? And we looked for ways of what would people do if they just lop Freddy Fazbear's head off in the middle of this movie? What will people say? Which is that sadistic thing my mom was like, stop doing that to people.
But the idea was, stop it. What if there's more than one Freddy Fazbear? What if there's a Freddy Fazbear at every location?
Yeah, we all assume we're following the ones from the originals, but what if we aren't? Would have been a great twist, I think. Also could have been really unfulfilling to be like, so the wrong ones meet Nate Wants to Battle, and then they all get killed at the end, and they had nothing to do with the original series. That feels almost like the dream cop-out. Like, it was all a dream, and you wake up from a dream that didn't really happen. So we decided not to do something like that. But I think with Circus Baby, it is possible that, again, we could look at there were or are multiple circus babies. We have a particularly misbehaving one downstairs that we just beat up as testing, but Circus Baby at some point was supposed to be an iconic, representing the new flagship, fleet of animatronics. Don't know.
A particularly misbehaving one downstairs.
Does that not describe you a little bit? The particularly misbehaving kid downstairs.
No, sometimes I'm upstairs.
That's true.
That line of thinking of the maybe we're not following the same Freddy and gang gave me such false hope that Lizzie was actually going to make it out and they were going to have their nice little house. Because you already said that wasn't the way you went, but I was like, but maybe they did. Maybe they're bait and switching us. And then she died, and so much shock.
I'm
but
so
you're right.
sorry.
That would have been one way that Lizzie could survive and not have come back. Is committing that all the animatronics you meet they're not the same models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done that. Again. Maybe we should poll people more often and see if that's what they would have preferred. Because again, I had just said that we thought it would be unfulfilling to find out that the Freddy and Chica and Bonnie and Foxy aren't the same ones that Mark meets and so forth. Yeah. But maybe people would have preferred that, especially if you give them the trade.
You have a test screening.
Yeah, and be like, okay, they're not
endings.
the same,
Which
but you
get
to keep Lizzie alive. Is that worth it? Yeah, it would have. You almost could have just cut after she says, "I'll be right behind you." It just cuts to phone guy interviewing people. What happens if you do that?
Oh man.
I do think killing off Lizzie was the better option. I do think having that. Yeah. They weren't the actual same. I feel like that wouldn't have been satisfying. And as much as it hurt me to lose Lizzie, I think that was it was a gut punch, but it was a good gut punch.
All right.
I think following it with them calling Nate Wants to Battle and knowing that they're going to be friends with him in the future, that is the consolation prize that makes killing Lizzie okay.
Yeah.
That was.
Because I know I worked on a production of Little Shop of Horrors, and then I watched the film, so it's interesting because the film originally had the same ending as the live musical, and then everybody got so mad that their beloved Seymour and Audrey died. Spoilers for Little Shop. And they changed the ending because they were so upset with test viewing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see a world where there were test screenings and being like, nuh-uh.
Yeah, no, it matters. If you don't stick the landing, even if it's a good ending, but the audience just doesn't like it, then the people are right. Give the people what they want.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what are we looking like for time? Because I don't want to.
Yeah,
there's two we can ask, but I don't want to put you guys over.
I think maybe we can go. What do you say?
One or two more? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go 2 more questions and then call it.
All right, I'm gonna steal one of yours.
Go for it.
What part of the story did you have the most fun writing?
I love all the juicy bits. Pretty much anything Glitch Trap says. But that fear is like a hammer speech. Most of his exchange with Vanny. I really like him talking to who he thinks is William Afton. I really enjoyed when he's dying, actually. The chance for him to flex that pretentious, he knows so much about everything. He is so beyond everybody else's, intellect. And I thought it was really cool to bring in the concept of luck as being a human attribute, an explicit, only human attribute. To me, that was it's a borderline religious sort of thing that he doesn't believe in God. He can't believe in God. That doesn't make sense for a computer. And so luck being sort of that representative of being humans are somehow blessed with things that don't make sense happening sometimes. And for a computer being everything always happens exactly the way I mean it to every time without fail. And if it fails, there's a specific reason it failed that can be overcome by this, and this. So his number of specific buttons that activate everything in life and being just so confounded by the idea that humans are somehow more complicated, even though we're weird organic meat alien devices. I thought that was a really fun opportunity to really set that, that stage and go it seems like he makes sense. It seems like he's right. And it's not enough to overcome the fact that your plot mechanisms, the Deus Ex Machina of going, the humans survive because the car smashes through at the wrong moment. I think that was a really fun way of explaining plot contrivances and also going, humans just aren't as mathematical as a computer might want us to be.
Yeah.
Things just happen sometimes and they can't rectify that. That's what
All right. As our final question for you guys, what's your favorite memory from working on First Nights at Freddy's?
There are so many like bad memories. It's such a bad way to end the interview. So I'm not gonna talk about any of those.
It was such a wild up and down ride. It really was. But I really think for me, it probably was that first day shooting out in Kansas City because we got help from Ben B, who had access to this massive office building. And the first time we walked into it, I was just like, we get to film here? We get to film all these weird little back rooms. We have full run of this building and nobody's like in our way. No one's going to look at us funny when like a clown girl comes rampaging down it. Like it was so magical. And it was also like, wow, we're starting. Like we get to film part of this thing like today, right now. And I get to dress up as Circus Baby and beat up on people. And like, it was such a good feeling to get started, to do it with that scene, and to get to film in a place like that.
Yeah, every day finishing a scene, like no matter how bad the day went, knowing that there was new script material you could cross off and say, that has been filmed. Actors did that thing or said that thing or whatever. It's on camera. It's such a legendary feeling to be like, I never have to do it again. I thought I didn't even know how to do it. Like, it's no secret we've been calling it the Impossible Project since day one.
Yeah.
And we did have to constantly go like, there's a reason we're calling it the Impossible Project. And every time you execute anything, even one line, you have done part of the Impossible Project, which means it's one step closer to being possible. For my favorite memory, maybe, and again, like, it's strangely enough, there actually are a lot, and I'm not going to be like, ooh, when it was done, it was my favorite day. It's not even true. It's really not true. The day Matt and Nate were both at our house, and Matt is sitting in that grubby bear suit on the floor playing with Balloon Boy, and there's snacks, and he's got a can of soda in one hand, and we're talking about, like, YouTube, or Nate's talking about, like, music stuff, and we are just hanging out. Katie's talking about theater with Matt. And it's just like, it was insanely like 5 seconds of the eye of the storm of just chill. And everybody's just enjoying their day together. And it was very old school and very like charming.
That was a great day.
Yeah. Like it was such a stressful day.
Yeah.
And that like just calm in the middle of everybody being like, I'm kind of just having fun making a video with some friends was legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I believe since you guys were like two more questions, so we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really could talk about this for days on end, probably, but I probably should actually do some.
If you ever want to do a follow-up interview,
maybe we'll do something in the future.
Thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you for having so many awesome questions.
Yeah, these are really great questions. You guys are like you got the things that I forgot existed, and you made connections I couldn't have predicted. So you did not disappoint. I knew that this was going to be a heavy-hitting interview. You lived up and exceeded.
Thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
No, because I remember getting like, it's so crazy to me because I'd been theorizing about this series for years, and 2020 CBL is screaming right now. Like, literally, I feel like I had this same feeling when Dark Remains first came out, and I stood up in my room, I sat down, and I watched it, and I was like so emotional that it was here, and that like something it came to be.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there trying not to cry because I'm recording a reaction, and that's embarrassing.
Those are the best reactions. No,
look, I cry in my first night's reaction, so you'll hear that eventually.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear it.
Well, I was just thinking this is such like a poetic, like, because you and I were talking on email about theories for probably at least a year,
For
right?
so long.
Yeah, and you
Okay,
came up
I
with
think
so
I
many.
started off and I came up with 130.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I remember. Like it felt like it, and I enjoyed them.
And
Some of them were bonkers. Some of them were like really close or spot on. Even
Yeah.
like you really did actually hit the nail on the head in several situations.
yeah, it's crazy to me that like because I started in 2021 and I remember this because I sent you a piece of artwork and it was Lizzie and Circus Baby and you said it was really cool to come up with these ideas. And that was like the motivation I needed. And
Good.
so this is gonna get real sappy, but this came in a very like unsteady time in my life. So having the constant and being able to have something fun and you guys encouraging it meant so much to me.
That's awesome.
glad.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Everyone deserves like
So-
stability and the chance to like stretch their muscles in the places that they're so excited about. So really glad that this helped
Yeah.
give you one of those like places.
It's so crazy to me that if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have this channel. I wouldn't actually be doing theater right now. You guys encouraged me to do that, and it's my
Oh.
like dream career now.
Yeah, well, thank
Sorry
goodness,
about
thank
that.
goodness that thank goodness that you're doing that.
Yes.
You know, like I hate the dark
But-
universe where that's not a thing going on. So I like this timeline much better.
So like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like thank you guys so much.
You're
You
very
are so appreciated.
welcome.
No, you're very welcome. Again, we enjoy doing this, and I was actually just thinking about you'd asked how like fans' theories and stuff had affected like some of the plot, and what I didn't think about is sometimes that goes the other way. Like we've talked before about things like Game of Thrones and how it felt like Star Wars, I think a little bit, where they kind of try to dodge fans' theories. They go, oh, they're figuring it out. Quick, change it. And that's something we were very dedicated to not doing because I can't stand when it feels like it's a good theory. You guys deserve the credit for coming up with good theories and them being correct and being like, if they figure it out, they figured it out. They deserve that. Clap for them. Clap and a half for those people. So that was a big deal for us of being like, if they ever figure something out before, we were ready for them, good on them. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Like they deserve that to be like, we figured it out because we were smart. Like you were smart. You were dang smart and you deserve that. So
And
that happened a lot.
We loved more than just getting a chance to tell this story or to make this project, watching the community react to it and watching the community so invested in following our breadcrumbs and putting together those theories,
Yeah.
the fan art, the costumes, like whatever. We've seen so many things come out of this and the incredible, incredible community that was so excited for seeing the ending, for seeing every episode when it came out, for finding out all our secrets that we were hiding. Like you guys have been wonderful and the payoff has been both different than I expected, but so lovely.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about what happens when the people watching this go make their own FNAF musicals or again like their
Yes.
theories or their fan fiction or whatever. It's like there is so much rich creative content that is going to one day hit the internet, and it'll be so cool that we helped maybe get that started. And I'm gonna enjoy
Yeah.
it more than I enjoyed our own stuff. So like,
Because we didn't have to make it.
we just simply enjoy people that did our thing but better. So like, there is completely definitely a universe coming where we're gonna sit back on YouTube and watch so many people do so many better things than us, and that's really exciting. So I don't want to put pressure on you guys, but I can't wait to see it. Get it started. I'm ready to enjoy everybody
Thank
else's
you.
creativity.
Again, thank you so much for doing this with us, and
course.
also thank you so much for letting me be a part of your biggest project.
You
ever.
are so welcome.
You
like
deserve it.
genuinely. I screamed when I got that. You.
You
But
did a great job
thank
at it
you.
too. So glad to have you on board.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. All right, do we beard salute?
It seems like Mr. Meows is even here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, you guys get to control the beard salute, okay? We'll go on your mark.
Oh, I'm honored. Here, I'll count us down and then we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Beard salute.
Ooh! You didn't do it. You
The cat
didn't do
didn't
it.
do it. He
What's
didn't
wrong
do
with
it.
you?
Cat didn't do it.
Oh,
So
Mr.
we need to
Meows.
do it.
Mr. Meows is being stubborn about it.